Tonight, priority investigation.
So surprising and scary.
The police chief speaking out after overnight gunfire.
We believe that these shootings are connected.
Plus, taking on a tryout. Carter Hart resuming his pro career, the first acquitted player offered a spot with an NHL club. And a model pastime.
Just takes your focus from the real world down to the miniature.
The local railroad enthusiasts recruiting new conductors.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a London police investigation into a pair of overnight shootings, which police say are likely connected. The chief says recent gun violence is a high priority, as reported shootings this year in London are already ahead of last year's pace. Brian Bicknell reports.
Students come and go in this busy Huron Street neighborhood. Near the West End, a small home, its front window damaged by bullet holes after being shot up early Wednesday morning. These neighbors, both students at Western, say they're shaken up.
We saw more ambulance coming on in this area, and we were like, oh my gosh, did something else happen? And we just we're very on edge,
because we live in a really busy neighborhood, I guess. There's so many students that live around here. It's more just kind of scary, because I can't believe this happened a couple houses
right
down
there,
from us.
yeah.
It could have been us.
Police say about 12:40 a.m. Wednesday, officers responded to a 911 call on Huron. They arrived to find multiple shots fired at a home.
What comes to mind is maybe we need a little stricter gun laws and should maybe be more careful in what we let into the country from across the borders in terms of firearms.
Just 15 minutes earlier, police responded to reports of a shooting on Homestead Court near Wonderland in Gainsborough. The front door of a home had been struck by gunfire multiple times. Neighbor Niall Murray knew when he heard it this was no vehicle backfire.
Because it was too repetitive. And the staccato was very distinct. So not a backfire. So I figured, well, it's probably a gun. There's probably somebody out there with a gun. Just stay where I am.
Police have released surveillance video from both locations showing a blue Honda Civic. It's described as having no front license plate and the front passenger headlight is out. Police Chief Ty Trong says these shootings are not random.
We believe that these shootings are connected. And we have a number of our officers and specialty units working around the clock on this shooting. And not just this shooting, but all shootings that we have, gun violence in the city. It's prioritized by our organization and by the leadership team here.
These shootings, both in busy neighborhoods with families and students, bring to 19 the number of shooting incidents in London so far this year. That compares to just 14 in all of 2024.
So surprising and scary that something that crazy would happen in this neighborhood.
No one was injured in either incident. Anyone with information or video that could help is asked to contact police. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
At the London courthouse, a second man has been found guilty for his part in one of the largest local fentanyl seizures on record. With more on the decision, here's Nick Paparella.
It was put on display by officers in January of 2023 after a joint police investigation which led to the seizure of 15 kilograms of fentanyl with a street value of $3.2 million. In the summer, Taimur Pasha pled guilty to a rash of drug-related charges and was sentenced to 16.5 years behind bars. Earlier in May, his friend and roommate, 30-year-old Justin Telfer, went on trial claiming he knew nothing of the stash kept in the room next to his in the Cheapside Street apartment, also adding that he had no knowledge that Pasha dealt drugs. But Justice Patricia Moore didn't see it that way, saying, "I reject Mr. Telfer's evidence about his lack of knowledge." She added, the room was more than a stash room. It was used for drug production, cutting, cooking, and pressing. These activities would not be quiet. In the end, Justice Moore convicted Telfer on 11 drug trafficking-related charges, but acquitted him on 4 gun-related charges. The matter is back on October 23rd to set a date for a sentencing hearing, which is expected to be held sometime in the new year. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Rita Ismail. It has been a gorgeous day right across southwestern Ontario. We had a ridge of high pressure in place, and that meant clear skies, lots of sunshine, although it was on the cooler side. Our temperatures near seasonal today, but early in the morning we were at the freezing mark, and that's where we're going to end up tonight as well, as clear conditions persist into the evening. We are tracking two weather makers. One will push through tomorrow and bring in rainfall. The other one just in time for the weekend. I'll break down the full forecast coming up a little later in the show. Carlyle?
Rita, thanks very much. City councillors may backtrack on one of their most aggressive housing initiatives after a developer proposed a 32-bedroom project on what had been a single-family lot. Daryl Newcomb reports.
Various forms of what City Hall has dubbed gentle intensification have started popping up in neighborhoods as single-family lots are redeveloped into multi-unit residential buildings. But on Elmdale Avenue in northeast London, one developer's plan has tested the limits of what a pair of city councillors, as well as neighbours, are willing to accept to address the housing crisis.
What's being proposed is apparently 2 buildings, each with 4 four-bedroom units.
That totals 32 bedrooms where a single-family home previously stood. The developer first had City Hall divide the property in 2, then took full opportunity of City Council's decision to permit up to 4 units as a right on residential properties. And without a limit on the number of bedrooms, the developer proposed 4 in each unit.
If the idea in the city is to allow, more urban dwellings rather than taking farmland, I'd be in favor of that. But it just seems like it's become a ridiculous proportion.
The development is cited in a new motion by Councillor Corinne Rahman and Deputy Mayor Sean Lewis that would cap the number of bedrooms in what are called additional residential units.
A situation like this, where it's splitting one lot into 2, I personally didn't envision it being that intense.
It was just back in February of 2024 that City Council lifted the limit on bedrooms citywide, with the exception of student-dominated near-campus neighborhoods where the limit was simply raised. In retrospect, Rahman suggests it might have gone too far.
We have to look for and take steps that make sense for our community, but we also have to listen to the community. If we don't get it right, we have to be willing to go back to the table and have a discussion.
The proposed amendment would permit a maximum of 2 bedrooms per ARU and limit additional residential units to 80% of the gross floor area of the main dwelling. There would also be a 3-bedroom maximum within several combinations of ARUs and main dwellings.
We're looking for affordable forms that could be in place in a residential neighborhood, but not that it would create this level of intensification.
The Planning and Environment Committee will consider the changes on October 21st. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
A newly formed organization is taking on a substantial task, trying to map every defibrillator in the province, connecting them to the 911 emergency system. As Scott Miller reports, a local family are helping out, inspired by their own loss.
The St. Mary's Secondary School senior girls volleyball team is getting a crash course on CPR and life-saving defibrillators thanks to the family of Tyson Downs, an Owen Sound teenager who died from sudden cardiac arrest 2 years ago.
We lost Tyson in the summer of 2023 to a sudden cardiac event, and along with my wife and Tyson's family, we wanted to put some good back into the community.
Since Tyson passed away in his sleep, an AED wouldn't have helped him, but it could help someone else, says Kruger. That's why they are in support of the AED Foundation, an organization currently tasked with creating a virtual location map of all the AEDs in Ontario and linking that to the 911 emergency system.
When someone calls 911 and there's a sudden cardiac arrest, then they will be told where the closest AED is, and right now that is not in place. So right now when you call, they basically say, do you know where your closest AED is? A lot of people don't know, don't think of it, don't even know what an AED is.
It's no small task to locate the estimated 50 to 60,000 AEDs in Ontario. Paramedics have a very good idea, and the AED Foundation has used them to help map out thousands of defibrillators so far. But Scott says they need everyone with an AED in their business, school, arena, or daycare to let them know so it can be linked directly to 911 because seconds matter in an emergency.
When you do CPR and use an AED in a sudden cardiac arrest, the chances of survival go up to about 50, 60, sometimes 70%. Really make a huge difference.
The clock is literally ticking on the AED mapping project. Scott says they will be linking 911 to the AED locations they know about early in the new year.
The more AEDs we have, the more chance we're going to be able to reach the people that will need them in an emergency.
As for Tyson Downs' family, they'll keep teaching whoever will listen about CPR and AEDs through their TD Beat Foundation.
We want to give back to the community that Tyson loves so much.
In Owen Sound, Scott Miller, CTV News.
London police say they've charged a former high-ranking Thames Valley School Board official with mail theft. According to police, last year an envelope with an anonymous letter containing misconduct allegations was stolen by former Associate Director Linda Nichols. They say school board officials reported it to police this past July. Earlier this year, the board announced Nichols was no longer employed. She has a court appearance scheduled for next month. Staff at a Home Depot in Toronto are confirming a story told by Premier Doug Ford, claiming he threatened to beat up a shoplifter over the summer. With more on the incident, here's Siobhan Morris.
It was an out-of-the-blue reveal from the Premier in a fireside chat in front of the Empire Club on Tuesday.
Can I tell a little story? Please. Story? Please.
Doug Ford shared that a few months back, he gave his security detail the slip and went plant shopping at Home Depot early on a Saturday morning. That's where he saw a shoplifter leaving the store. The store manager yelling for him to come back. Company policy is not to chase.
So I was in my car. I said, screw this. I'm going after this guy.
Ford says he did catch up with the suspect in the parking lot.
I said, buddy, what's in your bag? Nothing's in my bag. I said, buddy, I'm going to kick your ass all over the parking lot. Show me what's in your bag. And I did. I couldn't help myself.
Ford says the man emptied out a bag and a stolen saw blade was inside, as well as some tools of his own.
And then I went on to tell him if I ever see him in the parking lot, he's going to get a beating like he's never got before. But that's what you have to do.
Home Depot Canada confirmed the incident happened in July at their store in Rexdale. They declined to provide more specifics, but shared this statement. Organized retail crime is a serious issue that continues to grow in Canada and can lead to threats of violence and vandalism. The safety of our customers and associates is our first priority. The leader of the opposition not impressed with the Premier's street justice.
He is not Batman, right? He is not Captain Canada. 800,000 Ontarians want him to be chasing jobs here in the province of Ontario.
The number of people currently out of work. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The first of the 5 former World Junior Hockey players acquitted of sexual assault this summer has joined an NHL organization. According to reporting by TSN, Carter Hart has joined the Vegas Golden Knights in a tryout capacity. As of yesterday, each of the 5 players is now eligible to sign an NHL contract, but they are not eligible to play any games until December 1st. Hart most recently played in the NHL for the Philadelphia Flyers in the 2023-24 season. A local model railroad club is celebrating a big anniversary. The club has been around for decades, based near London with several longtime members. But as Sean Irvin reports, attracting a new generation of train lovers has proven difficult.
The sight and sounds of trains moving down the track are met with delight. These HO model engines and cars are running on more than 500 feet of track inside the built-to-suit home of the Thames Valley Central Model Railroad Club. For folks in the Thorndale area, its existence is likely nothing new. But after 60 years of full steam ahead, the club is suddenly off track with the public.
One of the comments was, didn't know this was here. So it's been here since '98.
At this location, the club itself dates back 60 years. 25 members with an average age of 65 maintain everything you see here.
You can run here a couple of days in a row and never do the same job twice. So for me, that's the fun of the hobby for me.
But as time advances, the club is having trouble bringing in new faces. Turns out in the digital age, it's hard to break the train of thought of young people. Nick Brio, a member for 11 years, tried to involve his grandchildren.
I brought them out a few times. They loved it, but now they're getting into these digital games on their computer and tablet.
What is lost to those who opt out is the complexity of this network. Technology has advanced to the point that each train can be controlled hands-free. Some engines even respond to more than 500 commands.
It's a lot of challenges to run trains on there, and it's fun also.
It's been 6 decades of fun for this founding member. He never lost his lifelong love of model trains. For him, this railway paradise offers a return to childhood at any age.
Just takes your focus from the real world down to the miniature.
And it is here, in this place, members say these sights and sounds have the power to put you back on track.
There are many, many things in here that normally people won't even see. But we see them because we shrink ourselves down to that size.
The club is open to the public most Tuesday evenings. A link to its activities is on our app and website now. In Thorndale, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Coming up, fundamental changes for the Canadian bail system. The federal government pledged to get tougher on suspects. Plus, making a series of it, the Blue Jays have a chance to get level in Seattle. We look ahead to Game 4 tonight.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvlondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney says new legislation will be tabled next week, cracking down on violent and repeat offenders. He says the bill will introduce strong reforms on bail and sentencing. With more on the announcement, here's Rachel Aiello.
The federal government says a crackdown on repeat violent offenders is coming.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says next week the Liberals will introduce long-awaited bail reform legislation to keep those accused of serious crimes out of the community. The new bill will also amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. These amendments are aimed at addressing headline-making crimes, including the surge in some cities of brazen smash-and-grab robberies. But they're getting mixed reviews from criminal defense lawyers.
And I think it's a measured approach. But at the end of the day, they just send a message because it don't really change that much, I have to say. But it sends the message that there is public concern.
I think it may work to curb that type of behavior, but I also think it is a ton of lip service.
These measures come after concerted pressure from premiers, police forces, and opposition parties.
And yet Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to reverse the Liberal laws that caused this chaos and carnage.
Today, Carney also announced a nearly $2 billion funding boost for the RCMP. Coming in the next budget, the money will go towards hiring 1,000 new officers, increasing the cadet recruitment allowance, and dedicating more personnel to probing financial crimes.
The devil is in the details. We're going to take a look at what comes out next week, but we're happy to see that we were listened to and some of the things we advocated for were included.
Carney is set to continue his pre-budget pre-positioning tomorrow. The Prime Minister has plans to make what he called an important announcement on border security. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
An update today at the London Police Services Board meeting on a pair of programs designed to support people living with addiction and experiencing homelessness. With more, here's Jerry Dewan.
They're preliminary snapshots of how the street-level programs are working. The first report was on the open-air substance use response. In place for approximately 5 months, there's been about 140 days of actual data collected.
and we can see where incidents are clustering or concentrating.
The Community Foot Patrol has been working with social agencies to respond to reports of drug use in public spaces. Initial interventions focused on getting the individual the supports they need. Police had interactions with 800 people, with more than half having multiple interactions. 5 people accounted for 170 of the interactions, and police dealt with one individual 39 times. Police say Phase 2 will deal with enforcement where they feel it's needed.
And those who continue to disregard directives to seize public substances are now more likely to be charged.
The board also received an initial report on the nurse police response team run with the support of London Health Sciences Centre nurses. Alana Hayter says they've already seen circumstances where they can help clear the way to getting an individual to shelter when shelter staff have had concerns.
Whether it's a wound, you dress the wound, we're taking care of it. Whether it's medications, we can explain to them that we do have a plan in place for this person and that it is actually appropriate for them to have this referral.
Hayter says the program is helping to divert individuals from emergency rooms, but also offered another revelation.
The amount of people that we are actually meeting in the public that we don't know. They don't access health care, whether that's fear or previous trauma.
Police board members were encouraged by the reports, with Mayor Josh Morgan saying more statistics and success stories could be used as a case to get more funding from the province. Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
Federal government leaders are promising new legislation to combat hate crimes. They're making that pledge as new data emerges showing a rise in hate crimes reported across the country. With more, here's Scott Hurst.
Over the past several years, Canada has seen a troubling and steady rise in the number of police-reported hate crimes from coast to coast, and it's leaving many people feeling unsafe in their own communities and going to places of worship. A majority of the reported crimes targeting groups for their race, ethnicity, or religion, with Canada seeing a troubling surge in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. New preliminary numbers put out this morning by Stats Canada are showing more than 2,200 police-reported hate crimes so far this year in the first half of the year, a very similar number to what was reported for the first half of last year, and still overall reflecting a significant spike in recent years. The number of reported incidents so far this year still more than all of 2019, with a nearly 50% increase in reported hate crimes just over the past 2 years. And according to the government data, Black, Jewish, and Muslim communities are the most frequently targeted groups overall last year. It's putting many Canadian communities on high alert, as well as police departments across the country trying to combat acts of violence, vandalism, and intimidation. This as the federal government, under pressure to stem the rising tide of hate, has introduced new legislation, the Combating Hate Act, proposing 4 new criminal offenses. However, there are concerns from civil liberties groups that the proposed legislation goes too far and could infringe on the rights of Canadians. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Rita Ismail's with me now, and as we are getting through what has been a lovely stretch of weather through the midweek, sounds like things are shifting as we get toward the weekend, a little wet.
Absolutely. We do have a little bit of rainfall coming our way tomorrow and then again over the weekend. But today, absolutely gorgeous conditions, 15 degrees right around where we're supposed to be this time of year. Our overnight low 2 degrees. The winds have been out of the northwest today, so it felt slightly cooler as that air mass pushed through. Now, record on this day, 1963, we hit 26 degrees in 1978, -4. Our sunset tonight in just a few minutes at 6:40. As you can see, clear skies. We had high pressure in play for today, and that allowed for all that sunshine. It is going to edge out, though, and make way for the next weather system that will move through tomorrow. It's fairly quick, not packing a lot in the way of moisture, but it will certainly have an impact on your morning commute as the timing of the system moves through early in the morning along the shores of Lake Huron, 9 a.m. and in between 9 and about noon for us here in London. Bit of a break under cloudy conditions throughout the day Friday, and then a few showers late in the day. Saturday looks to be the better half of the weekend, a mix of sun and cloud, but there's that secondary system that will push through, and it is stretching all the way down to the south. And with that, we'll have some warmer air push through ahead of that system, bumping our temperatures to the 20-degree mark on Saturday. With that will come showers for Sunday, and it'll be more widespread and consistent. This evening, the winds out of the northwest, 10 kilometers per hour. Again, we're going to drop down, and it'll be a cool start to your Friday morning. And the clouds will start to increase as well in advance of that low pressure system for tomorrow. So we'll dip into that light rainfall in the morning, afternoon, and the chance is there for the evening as well. Although most of the rain should push out early tomorrow, and then we'll be under cloud cover for the rest of your Friday. Your 7-day forecast is brought to you by Metal Roof Outlet. Nice day on Saturday, 22 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Get out there and take in all the fall foliage. It is absolutely gorgeous out there. Before that rain pushes through Sunday, and that system has wind associated with it, so it could get a little bit messy. Our temperature drops back down to near seasonal values for next week. Monday, mix of sun and cloud, and then we have rainfall, steady rain for Tuesday, up to 10 millimeters possible. Our temperature is dipping Wednesday and Thursday with the chance of rainfall and a high of 10 degrees. Midwestern Ontario, similar conditions in store for you, although there are some embedded non-severe thunderstorms possible as the system pushes through tomorrow morning. 17 degrees and then climbing to 20 on Saturday, mix of sun and cloud. Rainfall pretty much throughout the whole day on Sunday, and then a nice mix of sun and cloud to kick things off next week. 15 degrees and then 13 on Tuesday. Definitely a little bit more rainfall in this forecast. Carlyle, we've been sort of lucky the last few weeks in terms of beautiful conditions, but of course we do need the rain, so we will welcome it.
I'd say so. Yeah, thanks, Rita. Still ahead, what's next for the Stellantis plant in Brampton? The Prime Minister says he's spoken with company officials. Details on the assurances he says he's received.
Not to make you panic, but you only have one more chance to win some Eric Church tickets tomorrow.
Yes, be listening at 7:10 for Prize Town. Make sure you are caller 25. Good luck.
An Italian pasta maker will soon open its first North American production facility here in London. The Andriani plant is located in Innovation Park, just north of the 401 in southeast London. The $55 million facility will make gluten and GMO-free pasta. A grand opening is scheduled for next Wednesday. New data on Canadian shopping trends shows many people are still boycotting American goods. According to the Quebec Retail Council, 85% of survey respondents in that province said they are not buying American, with 87% favoring local products. However, 26% of respondents said they had bought something from cheap online shopping platforms based in China, a rising trend since the beginning of the year. The Prime Minister says he has received assurances from Stellantis officials. The car maker's Brampton plant will not be abandoned after they announced production would move to the U.S. Meanwhile, Mark Carney is navigating increasingly tense trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Mike Lucatour reports.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's Premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says pave the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister. That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple. nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada's main stock index was weighed down by losses in the financial sector. The TSX lost 178 points. In New York, the Dow fell 301, the Nasdaq dropped 108. The Canadian dollar is down 0.02 cents on the day. On commodity markets, gold soared more than $100 an ounce higher, while oil lost 85 cents a barrel. When we come back, managing chronic pain in the population, new therapies available, and the issues patients still face.
5K a day is back on 97.5
Virgin Radio.
Listen to Jeff KP and Backstage Ben for your chance to win $5,000
Every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Welcome back. Health experts say roughly 8 million Canadians are currently living with chronic pain. There are new therapies available, but many say they have to deal with stigma and a lack of information on the issues they deal with. Pauline Chan reports.
It was a foot injury 11 years ago that started Aaron Adams' experiences with chronic pain, defined as pain lasting more than 3 months.
When that happens, the nervous system, there's changes to our nervous system.
Pain signals continue, often even after an injury has healed. For 13 months, Aaron's foot remained swollen until she was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome.
I've been to physio, been to chiro, been to massage therapy. I was an inpatient.
And while she appreciates everyone did their best to help, nothing brought relief until she saw Dr. Zamir Pirani 2 years ago.
Chronic pain is an epidemic. So 1 in 5 Canadians currently suffer with chronic pain. It's a silent disease.
And he says in seniors, the rate is more like 1 in 3 people, with the numbers growing as Canada's population ages. Aaron says stigma is also high.
It's very derogative because they think they can't see it, right? Well, you walk fine. I don't see you walking with a limp. What's wrong with it?
Pirani's clinics, one in Toronto and now one in Hamilton, offer a holistic approach to chronic pain management. They do procedures like the nerve-pulsed radio frequency treatment Aaron receives, where X-ray guided bursts of radio frequency disrupt rather than destroy the nerves. Medications are another important factor for patients, but equally important are other psychological therapies.
We know that cognitive behavioral therapy, psychological interventions, managing their depression, their anxiety, their loneliness, their isolation, these all have a massive magnitude of effect for patients suffering with chronic pain.
We do things like breath work and humming. And I mean, breath work can really change the acidity of your blood dramatically. So by blowing off a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, you make the blood more alkaline.
Dr. Monty Sawala says this change allows the nerves to essentially reboot. Their in-person supportive programs are covered by OHIP. The goal is not necessarily to eliminate 100% of the pain, but to educate the patient and reduce the pain so that they can go on to live a full life. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Canada's health ministers are in Calgary for 2 days of meetings. They're expected to discuss interprovincial credential recognition and funding agreements. According to the federal health minister, mental health and addiction issues are also on the table, as well as vaccination programs. The ministers are also expected to meet with national doctor and nursing organizations, which are calling for more support and better worker retention efforts. Prince Edward Island authorities have imposed a mask mandate in hospitals and health facilities. The masking policies went into effect earlier this week, requiring visitors to wear a mask when within 2 meters of any patient or resident. Local officials say they've put the mandate in place because of increasing COVID-19 cases, rising at roughly double the national average.
Hey there.
there. Halloween countdown is on. Many people getting into the spooky Halloween spirit. We're joined by KP for mornings on 97.5 Virgin Radio. KP, there are numerous events going on in and around the city this weekend. How can we get our scare on?
Oh, I'm so excited. So there's actually one that's kicking off tonight that I'm going to go to right after this. It is the first night of the White Oaks Mall. So it's a scary White Oaks Mall. They've done this 4,000 square foot haunted house in the Old Bay location. So right off the food court there, and there's two different haunts. There's one that's family friendly and one that's a little more spooky. So if you're a bit older, you want to get a good scare on, it's definitely that option. They're asking for just a minimum donation of $5 for the Children's Health Foundation, which is a fantastic cause, but it looks really fun.
That looks great. In terms of what's happening perhaps in your neighborhood, I just thought of this on our CTV London website. We have a list of all of the spooky houses. So we have a map, so you can actually just check in and around your area, where you want to go, what you want to see, and there are spooky houses and great Halloween haunts. What else is going on?
So many good ones.
Yes.
We also have, so at Storybook Gardens, they're doing pumpkins after dark. I'm going to be checking out all of these things, but I'm very excited for this one too. So it's a 1 kilometer trail of carved jack-o'-lanterns. So we're talking thousands of illuminated, really unique and intricate pumpkins. They've got a ton of other displays there as well. And they have different theme nights as well. So superhero night and bring your dog night and everything else in between. I think Thursdays are discounted nights too. So definitely check out their map, but it looks like a lot of fun.
And you have one more?
Yes, this one's not for the faint of heart. I'm actually dragging my co-hosts Jeff and Backstage Ben on Sunday. So we're going to go do Return of the Abandoned Village. This is happening at Phantom Pioneer Village. I went last year. I didn't go with them. Now, Jeff, I
don't know if I could do it. I think I would be really scared. I've heard it's really scary.
It is very creepy. Jeff doesn't like scary, so we're going to see how he holds up. I think we're going to put like a hidden camera and get his reactions, but going to be a lot of fun. Very scary. So they are saying 14 plus, and the props, everything is very realistic. So they have actors coming out with chainsaws, and they chase you, and it's all times, so you're never with anyone else, so you're by yourself in the dark. It's so cool. Definitely check that one out at Phantom Pioneer Village.
All right, do we have any sporting events to talk about?
We do.
Okay.
A busy weekend, less scary for sure. So Saturday we have the Western Mustangs taking on Laurier. It's a battle for first place, so this is exciting.
Big game.
It's 1 o'clock on Saturday. And then Sunday we've got the Knights taking on the Rangers, so it's a battle of the 401. Gotta love that. And puck drops for that at Canada Life Place at 2 o'clock.
And I'm not sure, KP, if you know this about me. I was a bit of a Spice Girls fan back in the day, and I heard there's a tribute concert this weekend.
Were you always baby?
I was, and you're probably sporty.
Yeah, obviously. Sometimes posh, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
You could go that. Yeah, absolutely.
Go that
both.
road? Okay, fair. So this Saturday at London Music Hall, it is a party. It's all Spice Girls all night, so it's a tribute. It's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like everyone's going to lean into what they played at their, elementary or high school talent shows. So again, like baby and sporty showing up.
You got that right.
It's going to be a party. Make sure you grab those tickets.
All right, there's an important event next week that we wanted to tell you about at my sister's place.
This is happening Tuesday, and it is a walk-through open house girls' night out. You can go and check it out, their facilities, and again, a $100 donation actually goes to support a woman in need, an unhoused woman, for one night. So again, that's access to a safe, warm bed, amenities, whatever help or resources they may need, and it's just a really, really fantastic local cause. So definitely go and check that out.
I like that it's called Girls' Night Out, because a girls' night out for us is very different than, of course, would be for someone who's living unhoused or who needs extra support. That's your London list with our friend KP, and of course, we'll see you next time.
Tomorrow on CTV News, a local boy and his major accomplishment. He had his eyes on the stars and became the youngest Canadian ever to discover an asteroid. That story tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Tonight, Canada's disturbing cartel footprint.
The organized crime groups take the path of least resistance.
The RCMP reveals which foreign crime networks are active in Canada.
We're aware, our head's not in the sand.
As we expose the ingenious ways criminals smuggle meth from Canada into New Zealand and Australia. Tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
Thanks to our viewer Maureen Dwyer for tonight's beautiful weather snapshot. She took this photo from the Blackfriars Bridge here in London, showcasing the changing leaves reflecting in a calm Thames River. Thanks so much for sharing, Maureen. It will be a chilly start to Friday morning as our temperatures drop to an overnight low near the freezing mark tonight. There's a chance for some late day rain tomorrow as well, with sunshine in store for Saturday and more steady rain and windy conditions for Sunday.
New tariffs on softwood lumber have thrown confusion into the industry on both sides of the border. As Laura Brown reports, the increased duties have brought some parts of the sector to a halt, with many unsure how to proceed.
Trucks that were headed over there have been turned back and had to be unloaded. Some have been allowed to cross.
Linda Bell has been working in the forestry industry along the U.S.-Canada border for almost 3 decades. She says the last 24 to 48 hours have been chaotic and tumultuous since a new 10% tariff was issued on softwood lumber, on top of the existing 35%. It's caused some mills in Maine to halt deliveries of New Brunswick lumber, mills which have processed Canadian wood for over 5 decades.
Yeah, we definitely have the mills that are put the hold on and said, don't ship to us. Let us figure this out. But we have no more answers.
They're trying to figure out exactly what is included under the new tariff. Industry Minister Melanie Joly acknowledged the confusion.
We're seeing also that the interpretation sometimes of executive orders coming out of the White House are not the same depending on the border agents in the U.S. So this is something definitely that Minister LeBlanc is working on, and that we will be able to provide more clarity as we're engaging even more with the U.S. administration.
The president of Glenwood Kitchen in Shediac feels like the 25% tariff on cabinets came out of nowhere. But James McKenna says so far, his U.S. customers are remaining loyal.
But it's gonna take a hit in my profitability, a hit in their profitability to ensure that the consumers keep buying from them. That's at 25%. 50% is not doable. There's no way that anybody can afford a 50% tariff on their product.
That 50% duty is expected January 1st. The concern is clear.
If the demand is not there from the states, it's going to have a very poor effect on us, that's for sure.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
London-born astronaut Jeremy Hansen spoke with students in Montreal today in the middle of preparations for the first crewed space flight to the moon in more than 50 years. With more on his message and Canada's evolving role in extraterrestrial exploration, here's Anastasia Dextrine.
It's been more than 50 years since a crewed rocket has launched to the moon. And it's been a lifetime since Jeremy Hansen has hoped to do the same.
Achieving this goal of flying in space, it's just really neat.
Hansen says his career journey began as a child. He was inspired by a visit to the Space Museum. He trained as a fighter pilot and was recruited by the Canadian Space Agency in 2009. He's now educating and inspiring students himself.
What do you do if if you can't send supplies to space and you're in the spacecraft and you don't have any fuel or food left?
Yeah, that would be not good. When I was a kid, I was sort of naive about how this all worked. I just thought, surely I can go to space. But now I see what's actually involved and how many people have to come together to make something like this happen. There is also that element of risk that you just can't make absolutely zero. And we're pragmatic about it, but also we just have to accept that reality.
Hansen will be one of 4 astronauts to orbit the moon aboard the Artemis II. The 10-day mission is expected to happen by April 2026. The team hopes to confirm systems and hardware for future human space visits. CSA President Lisa Campbell says the partnership with NASA is a sign of trust in Canadian know-how.
We're also going to be experts in robotics and surface mobility to assist humans living on the moon. Because if you look at the next 10 years, there are about 100 missions planned around the world, and Canada's part of that.
Meanwhile, Federal Innovation, Science and Industry Minister Melanie Joly says she's excited by what this could mean for future jobs.
We see this as an important collaboration with NASA. We see this as an important, role for our country to play in space exploration. But also, we're at a time where we want to invest even more in our economy. We want to build good jobs in the manufacturing sector, in the tech sector.
It's a giant leap for tech, for Canada, and for generations to come. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Every day, people are working to bring hope to those struggling with homelessness and addiction. Watch The Helpers on CTV News at 6, starting next week, as we share their stories and ways that you can make a difference.
The Toronto Blue Jays added at least one more game to their season last night with a dominant win in Seattle, but they still need one more road win to bring the series back to Toronto. As Andrew Johnson reports, there are plenty of traveling fans hoping for a comeback. One for Canada!
At Seattle's famous Pike Place Fish Market, the atmosphere ahead of ALCS Game 4 is something else.
I think it's pretty electric right now.
Jays fans who made the trip to Washington State are on a high, with the team no longer seemingly swimming upstream.
That was absolutely incredible. And last night they just came out and they suddenly looked like the Jays again. So I was a little worried, I gotta say, but they turned it around.
Turned it around is maybe an understatement to describe the Jays' offensive explosion, fueled by 5 home runs and, after a shaky start, a shutdown performance from pitcher Shane Bieber.
It was fantastic. The energy was great, and there was about 50% Jays fans, it seems. So there was a pretty big Canadian component.
Thousands in the stands again tonight at T-Mobile Park will be Canadians who flew, drove, and ferried across the line to show their passion in person. And the seats don't come cheap.
We pulled them out of school, and they ended up being about $500 Canadian a pop, but it...
Totally worth it. Totally worth it for that experience. So we do it again in a heartbeat.
Come try the smoked Blue Jay, sir.
Now, a chance for Canada's team to bring the series back to Toronto. With a win tonight or tomorrow, the Jays will guarantee this series goes at least 6 games and returns to Rogers Centre, where they could secure a World Series berth at home. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Seattle.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.